muted yourself.
Of course I did. I said we're live. We're live again.
You were alive and then you were dead immediately. I thought you were breaking up.
Yeah.
I was just pulling up
No.
Statcast.
Yeah. I was saying there's some good and some bad from last night. The pitchers sucked.
What's crazy is then the winning stack is exactly what I was on. But all my guys from those teams got 0. And that's sometimes what you get, and it makes sense a little bit when you play the value bats on a team. It's like those guys are the value bats for a reason. Most of the time because they're not really any that good. You know what I mean?
But it's weird because the winning stack had James Wood, but James Wood put up 6 points. And so you didn't need him. But Dylan Dingler, I think, was the cry. Like that was the key because he was at a positional position, right? So at catcher.
But this is one of the things, like, you didn't need to have those stacks because it was really double dome night. We had Trey Turner 2 home runs, Mookie Betts 2 home runs.
But that's the same position. Yeah, same position.
Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Jazz Chisholm 2 home runs, Dylan Dingler 2 home runs, Jordan 2 home runs, and that's in order of the scores, right? Jordan was the 5th highest scorer, but you had multiple guys absolutely just show out last night.
Yeah. The one thing I was like, Jordan over PCA and James Wood worked out, but the problem is the only guy you wanted from that, really, Pena, who you mentioned as well, the only guys you really wanted were Pena and Jordan. No one else really did anything meaningful.
Cam Young pinch hit, got on and stole.
Yeah. Big slate again, 13 games, kind of massive. I almost wish it would be smaller slates because, like, I mean, again, I don't hate the big slates, but it's just like you sometimes can have more variance, or you can have these teams that blow up that aren't the Yankees game went like 7 runs over their total. It was like a 7.5. I think there was 10 runs, 12. I mean, there was I think it was 9, maybe 16 runs in that game. It was high scoring. Both the Weathers and Ashcraft sucked. But yeah, we'll go back to it today. I think there's some weather spots. Let me just pull it up real fast. Do you have? I know you probably looked at it as well.
A couple of weather spots that are mostly early. There's a couple on the main slate that are concerning.
I think most of the. I mean, there's 4 or 5 on the main slate that are everything on the East Coast is.
I see mostly New York and Boston are going to be the main slate games you're worried about.
Yeah,
Cleveland, Philly, they're on the early slate. Don't worry about that. But it's really just Boston and New York that are most concerned. And on a slate so big, there's no reason to take a risk in a weather game.
Yeah. I wish the Yankees game would play, but just being an orange just is a concern for me. I feel like the same with Boston. Boston and the Yankees are in the same spot. You'll get lower ownership there. I wouldn't play pitchers in either of those games, but you could stack up both those games too offensively and still be a little bit contrarian. I think there's better ways to do that though. With that said, you ready to jump into anything else from last night? Recapping?
No, wash it out.
Cal Raleigh hit a grand slam against Andrew Abbott, so the fly ball machine.
Was it against Andrew Abbott though? Because I thought Andrew Abbott had a decent outing. It was just the later innings. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe
I thought it was early. Let me pull it up. I can look at it right now. They got cooked though. Yeah, you're right.
I'd rather giving up no earned, but I could be wrong.
He gave up. I wonder if I think he came out right the inning before because the guy came in right after him that replaced him, gave up a home run, and he ate all 4 of those runs.
Kyle Raleigh's been horrible. That drop has been absolutely horrendous this year. I know he's been hurt in and out, so it's not a lot to draw from that. He's still
only 1 for 5 with a home run, right? 1 for 5 with a home run. This is not good stuff there. But yeah, other things that happened this late. So things I liked, right? I like to see Berger hit a home run. That was fun because he's on a lot of best ball teams. I have a lot of San Diego and Texas batters, so I need them to play good down the stretch. I have a lot of teams that I'm looking at
20 weeks left until first round.
1.5 weeks.
So
I hopefully get 30 or so.
Jay Walks is helping, but he steals another base last night. It's just there's a lot of injuries going on in my core. And the core, a couple of core guys for me in the early rounds are Bobby Witt, who got removed from last game with tightness. So I'm sure you probably won't see him the rest of this week. And then Nick Kirk.
Honestly, I prefer him to sit the rest of the week anyways. Let him come back next week or the week after when it matters.
Don't rush him. And the thing with the Royals is they won't, right? They're not in contention for anything this year. They've definitely underperformed. They're not going to rush guys back. Yeah. So Bobby Witt, for some reason is in running for the All-Star. I mean, for the MVP. I just don't get it. I mean, it's 100% Jordan's going to win the MVP without a doubt in the AL. It's not even going to be competitive this year. I think Jordan's probably -4, -500. That's without looking. I'm going to confirm that now.
I can pull it up right now. I have it. All the bets loaded. Let's see here. Future bets. I don't know if it's that long, but let's see.
Unless he gets hurt, he's going to be the MVP.
Dude, speaking of bets, I was looking. This is a segue, dude. I'm going to shit on FanDuel here. Don't bet anything ever on FanDuel because their odds boards are horrible. Like, this is, and this is obviously anecdotal, but like I've seen this, and this has been mentioned across various like other like DFS betting pundits. But dude, FanDuel's odds board is just so shit. It's like, I'm talking about golf this week. Like, look at a guy like Ryder Cowan. He's plus, he's like 160 to 1 on DraftKings. And then he's like 80 to 1 on FanDuel. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, it's not even like, oh, just a smaller, it's like half of what you're getting. It's like, to me, it's like, that is unplayable.
Yeah, these are the odds. These are the odds while we're talking about it. So Jordan's minus 220 for the AL MVP. So decent size favorite there. Cameron Yarrows plus 450. Bobby Witt's probably not in the running anymore at plus 600, being hurt, going to be out. Kurtz is hurt, right? Ben Rice is a possibility to have a stretch down the end because he's been great. And then the National League's all but wrapped up. I mean, Ohtani hasn't even been as good as he's been in the past, but he's minus 600. Then PCA is a guy that's been phenomenal. I could see PCA kind of stealing that MVP from Shohei down the stretch. Plus 400, then Schwarber plus 300. Yeah.
What it would take? I would bet PCA at that number. But it would take Shohei maybe getting hurt, or like the reason Shohei will he's going to win it against because he does both things, right? Like when he's pitching, he's ace level, and when he's hitting,
it's like he's amazing at both things.
He's not Jordan offensively, but he's also like pitches. So like Jordan's not throwing in an inning, so it's tough. I think even if he was in the AL, it would be a lot closer. I think it would be like plus 200, plus 250 both ways. But I think it's like, for the NL, it's just PCA is like great and he's good defensively too, which really helps. But unless he goes out on the mound, it's going to be a tough. I think there could be a situation in which like Shohei doesn't pitch as much on the stretch, or they just save him a little bit. But like I just feel like he's such an enigma. He'll probably win it again. And honestly, he deserves to. Like he does so much for that team. But other than that, dude, you ready to get into this?
Let's get into it. But before we talking about the Dodgers, what a bad signing Kyle Tucker was. Like, he's just a league average bat right now. Like,
for them, league average, and he's pretty good defensively. For them, it doesn't matter because like they can afford to pay a league average batter $500 million because it just doesn't matter to them.
Yeah,
that's why next year.
Injury though, if you subtract injury, he's probably the worst first or second round draft pick in best ball and season long. Horrible. He's probably the worst draft pick there.
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that's what the Dodgers get, but like kind of that's what they get. It's like you pay all this, and like there were signs before they even signed. Like there were signs that he wasn't going to be that elite, anyways. But it's like the guy, they're going to go out and get whoever they want to, and like they can afford to make a miss like that. This is why there could be potentially a lockout next season, and it's those type of signings. That's why like there's got to be some agreement that goes into effect that limits the ability of these teams to overspend and outspend these other, smaller markets.
If there's a lockout, I'm gonna have too much time on my hands. I'm not looking forward to that. So I really hope they get something scored away. It seems like there's gonna be a pretty big crossroads. So I've been listening to a little bit of the content to figure out like what's the likelihood. It seems pretty likely there's a lockout. So we'll talk about that when it comes. But yeah, let's jump into the slate, man. Let's not waste any more time. We have a long slate. We got our regular jobs, right? We can't retire from real work yet. But let's talk about this. Break down the slate.
Yeah, so we'll go first to New York. This is one of those other games, so we can take like 30 seconds here. This game probably is going to get postponed. We may get news soon. But for all intents and purposes, I think pitchers are X off because of the weather. But it's Will Warren on the mound for the Yanks and Bubba Chandler on the mound for Pittsburgh. Initially at cost, I didn't hate Bubba Chandler. He walks many guys, but there's still strikeouts in the Yankees lineup. Will Warren has just kind of continued to falter a bit down the stretch. He did have a nice strikeout rate, but that's really come down to earth here recently. I think this is an avoid spot. It is in Yankee Stadium, so if you want to take that risk on with the weather, I wouldn't hate a Pittsburgh stack or a Yankee stack here. I think they'll be super low owned, but it's still hot, humid. The wind isn't a factor here, but this game could still be. It could be just as high scoring as yesterday. And it's going to be unowned again. So if I was going to take a risk, it would be in the bats here. Avoid the pitchers. The weather's a big concern. I don't think there's anything else to add. Dylan, do you want to comment on that? Or
yeah, Warren's terrible right now. So Pittsburgh would be a sneaky stack if there was no weather in this game. I could see Pittsburgh kind of being a lower owned stack that you could get to, right? But other than that, there's just gonna be a pass game. Yeah, you had mentioned Bubba Chandler. I'm done with him. He just walks too many guys. It's Yankee Stadium. So just gonna pass this game altogether, exit off, pretend it doesn't exist on the slate.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Toronto. We have Tampa Bay still in town. We have Kevin Gausman on the mound for Toronto and Drew Rasmussen on the mound for Tampa. Man, like both elite pitchers, 10K, 9-7 respectively. This is a spot that I don't like anybody. Like the batters, I think the pitchers are some like Drew Rasmussen has shown some upside. Toronto doesn't strike out though. And what we saw from Tampa yesterday is, well, like I love Dylan Cease, but like also Tampa doesn't strike out. Other than like they played such good small ball, like they just make a lot of contact.
I think I mentioned that yesterday. Like I think everyone in that lineup sub 20% strikeout rate, which is pretty good. Yeah. They have guys that can home run, so it's a spot you don't really want to target. We know Gausman's kind of been Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
like he can definitely get hit a little bit. There's just no way on this slate I'm paying that price tag. I think it's clearly Chase Burns at the top, but you're paying for it, and he's probably a little bit too expensive for who he's been. But in Seattle, he's probably easily one, and everyone kind of funnels under him.
Yeah, Chase Burns has the highest floor. Like he's the highest floor in the slate, but like we haven't seen his ceiling performance, and like I just don't know. His stuff hasn't looked great. Like I don't know, there's something mechanical there that's an issue. The strikeout rates dropped quite a bit recently. So like there's like still at 11.5, I feel like he's not unplayable, but like he has a good floor. But like, man, I don't know if I want to pay for a floor at 11.5. Like if he was 10.5,
the underlines are fine though, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But the underlines are fine, and he still's got a good swing and strike. I mean, a swinging, strike percentage. So like I still like him a whole lot. And in the vacuum, the slave, you throw salaries out, he's probably just easily the best play. He can go 100+ pitches. If his stuff's working, he can strike out 10 in this matchup. Where I think Gausman and Rasmussen both have a little bit more risk, right? I love Rasmussen. Bags are packed full of him. You got him pretty late, right? But like you said, neither of these teams, Toronto or Tampa, strike out a whole lot. No. So I just don't see the priority in getting these guys. And I think you're going to want some bats in this slate. So I don't think it's a good slate to pay up for SP1, SP2. I think you need to get a SP1 and then potentially get a cheaper SP2 on the slate. For me in this game, the priority would actually be Rasmussen. I think he is kind of the A side. But that's just trusting the underlyings. He doesn't get hit hard. So he's more likely to kind of have good 6-7 innings without giving up a lot of damage, where I think Gausman could kind of fall on the opposite side of that. So overall, it's going to be a pass game. Definitely don't want to play bats against these guys in such a big slate either. So I'm going to keep it short in this game. It's going to be Rasmussen or pass for me.
Yeah, same. I think this is an avoid offensive spot. Filter the pitchers in if you like. I think both guys are pretty – there's solid pitchers. I think Rasmussen's safer. Gausman still has some upside for sure, but I think this is an avoid spot for sure. All right, let's go to Boston. This game will also be quick because I think there's weather here. We have Bradish on the mound versus Rivera for Boston. I would love Bradish if this was a turn. He's actually been great lately too. So he's 9K though, and there's weather. So I think just avoiding the pitchers here. Again, this is like a contrarian play bats here. Given that like we could have like some weather and like one of the pitchers could get pulled, I do prefer the Baltimore side. And they're like a pretty sneaky stack, in my opinion, because of weather, but I think they could kind of go off if the game ends up playing. Rivera's just not very good. And I think they'll probably have to Boston's kind of like, I think there's like 14 straight wins or something crazy. And they're like riding a heater, but yeah, I don't know if this game is going to go, so I don't really want to like dig too deeply into it.
I'm not even going to give insight in this. It's just like, I would love Bradish if this game was going to play, but I'm not going to get there. It's the perfect storm of like there could be weather early and there's definitely weather late. So if there's any weather early that pushes the game, it's probably not going to finish. So just like I don't want to play this spot, period. I just think the risk is too high in such a big slate that I'm not going to put pitchers in my lineup in this game. And then subsequently, I do think Rivera is a decent pitcher. So I don't know if I want to play against him either. So for me, it's just like maybe the pitchers can get 4 or 5 innings in, but like if they can't go deeper than that, there's just going to be no upside there. So just an easy pass game for me.
Yeah, agreed. Dude, Rivera is huge. He's 6'7", 240. Big fella.
Yeah, he's a pretty good talent too. His underlines are fine. I mean, he does get hit hard, but he's got a 25% K rate, which is fine. I mean, he's the Red Sox 25th pitch prospect, which isn't meaningful in any real way.
No, that's I'd say that's like against meaningful.
Well, you see the strikeout rate being decent.
Yeah, the numbers aren't bad. Expected ERA.
But his chase and whiff rate are both below league average, which when I look at that, when I see K rate higher than chase and whiff, that leads me to believe that K rate's going to come down. So it's just like I don't think that's sustainable either. But once again, I don't want to waste time on this game. I think it's pretty easily going to be a weather issue one way or the other. So just going to be a pass for me.
Yeah. Samesies. All right, let's go to the ATL. So we have Walker Buehler on the mound. This is San Diego still in town here. So Walker Buehler pitching for San Diego, Ronaldo Lopez on the mound for Atlanta. I really love the Braves here. So I think neither pitcher's in play. Lopez has actually been decent. He doesn't been going super long, but like in some of the truncated starts you have seen like him be decent. San Diego's still a bottom tier offense. But I actually do like both offenses. San Diego's still somewhat cheap. You have some value there. This park does cater towards the lefties. So guys like Jackson Merrill, Gavin Sheets are interesting on the San Diego side. I do love Matt Olson tonight. I think he could go yard, especially Buehler's he's not good right now. At one point, he was like a pretty good pitcher. That is no longer the case. He's 32 years old. He's kind of not aging out, but like I think we've seen the best of the Walker Buehler days for sure. I think the Braves are super interesting. They are a pay-up offense, though. So, like, if you want to play him, I would go with Baldwin. I would go with Harris. I'll throw Olsen in, and then maybe, like, filter guys like Mauricio Dubon. I don't know. I don't think Acuna's back, but I think he's got some time before he gets back. But then maybe throw, like, Austin Riley, who, he's hitting a little bit better since All-Star break. We've only had a couple games, but he's somewhat interesting for me at a cheap third base price. But it is expensive. So, I think I would prioritize, like, the three lefties there, Olsen, Baldwin, and Michael Harris. Outside of that, I'm not really that interested, but I think they are good offenses. So I think they could put up like when you look at offenses that finishes, like they could be a top 4, top 5 scoring offense for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I just, Walker Buehler is not gas can, but he's not good. But he's a fine MLB pitcher, right? And I know he has some back class to go and get through lineups. And the biggest thing for me is, like you said, is the Braves are going to be a priority spend, and I want to spend my dollars elsewhere on the slate.
Yeah.
Like, for sure the Braves could get there, but you're paying for them. They have to be your primary, and you really want the guys at the top of the lineup. You really want the guys you have to spend up for, like you mentioned, Baldwin, Olsen, guys of that nature, right? So for me, and obviously Harris in that group as well, but for me in this game, I think Ronaldo Lopez is actually pretty good. I know our bullpen's kind of shit right now. We're just kind of recovering. We've lost some arms there, but I think the Braves bullpen is still pretty solid. And like I said about San Diego, like if you get to their good pen, like you're going to be in trouble. A lot of those guys, obviously Mason Miller at the top, you're only going to see him in potential save scenarios unless he hasn't thrown recently. Maybe you get him as a leverage arm, maybe the 6th or 7th inning. But I don't like this spot particularly. Just looking at the arms, I think Walker Buehler, like you said, is not very good, but he's also kind of, if I look at his stats, he's just middle of the road and has a little back class to be able to get through the Braves. But yeah, this is a game where the Braves could easily hang an 8 spot, but at their prices, you have to get the exact bats you need, right? They need to hit home runs. So it could happen. I'm just finding reasons not to play them, right? So because I want to spend my dollars elsewhere. So I can totally get the Braves going off in this game. I won't be playing San Diego. I think Ronaldo is actually pretty good. And he doesn't strike out guys, so I can't play him in this spot. But I totally understand, just avoiding San Diego bats. So for me, it's going to be another pass game.
Yeah. So in the last 11 innings that Walker Buehler has pitched, he's given up 6 home runs in 11 innings. So like a home run and a half per inning. That is in the profile too, because he's not a ground ball guy. So I do like the Braves. Give me some of the lefties here. Cool. Nothing else from you there. I think I'm on the Braves. You're really not too high on them. I think Ronaldo, to your point, has been solid, so I don't hate that. Let's go to KC. This is a good hitters park. I know it hasn't really played that way too much this season, but I think it is a decent hitters park. We have Tyler Mahle on the mound for San Francisco, and then Avila. What's his first name, Dylan? Lewender. Avila for KC. Avila's been like, there's some stuff that's like in this profile that's pretty good. Is he still a prospect? Is he considered a prospect or?
He's 24, so I don't see him in any prospect list or in the past. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump on Lewender. I think at 5'8" or at mid 5s, I think it's 5'8". He's worth a play on the slate. Just we know San Francisco's got a good lineup. You had mentioned the Kansas City Park playing up, but the wind is actually in today on more moderate temperatures than the 90s we were seeing. So Lewender at 5'8", we've seen him have decent performances here recently, and I think what he's good at is limiting kind of like the damage, right? He's giving up very few home runs, and that's pretty beneficial, right? If he can work his way through the San Francisco lineup, there's not a lot of Ks in the lineup, but there's a few, and he's got a middling strikeout rate, but at 5'8", I think he's probably the cheapest viable option, and I don't think he's about SP2 on the slate. On the other side, Mahle's not very good, but Bobby Witt's going to be out tonight. Got pulled from last night's game, and with a guy like that, Starward out, you just don't want to play them. Obviously, you can play Jack Cag, you can can play Kansas City for one-offs if you want. The lefties, right? Male has a history of having struggles against lefties, so maybe it'd just be Collins, it'd be Jack Caggs, it'd be Jensen, guys of that ilk. But other than that, this is another
your boy Vinny P, baby. Vinny P.
Oh yeah, sorry, Vinny. I know he's my guy too, but he just hasn't showed the power this year, and it's gonna come, and he's gonna be better, as I mentioned. And they're gonna need him to be better down the stretch without Bobby Witt. So I just don't know what I want to do in this game. There's a good chance. I mentioned to you, I'm a single entry guy tonight, so I'm gonna play the 250, the 121, and there's a good chance Avia makes the roster today.
Yeah, I don't hate it. He's 5'8", so I don't leave with the prices. He's cheap, so I think if you're gonna be throw him in there, you can kind of get all the bats that you want. There's one game that everybody and their mother will be playing later. But I do like the KC side. I think a sneaky 3-man stack here would be like, Carter Jensen, Vinny P, Jack Cag for me would be a fun way to play it. I like all those profiles, and plus I like it against Molly for sure. Next we have the Mets in Milwaukee. Still, we have Zach Thornton on the mound for Mets, and then Brandon Sproat on the mound for Milwaukee. It's funny because Sproat got moved. Sproat was Met, and then he was part of the trade package where the Mets got Freddie Peralta. And just honestly, Sproat's been better than Freddie Peralta. Who would have thought that at this point in the season? Freddie Peralta's broken. He's unplayable currently, and he got hit again last night. That said, I don't hate either pitcher. Both pitchers are competent enough. I think I prefer Sproat at his price at 7.3. The Mets don't strike out a ton though, so I don't love it. I think maybe Avia, maybe just a straight up better play is like 2,000 cheaper. But with that said, I think both pitchers are competent. I'm just going to avoid bats here. I don't think I'll get to the pitchers either. 8K for Thornton's a little too expensive, and Milwaukee's just a solid lineup top to bottom. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I think Sproat is interesting SP2 potentially. There's some decent stuff in the profile. We've had a couple of spike performances, but outside that no, not real much interest there.
Yeah, this is the day of the Mendoza line pitchers. I mean, it couldn't be more average of a pitcher slate if you outlined it yourself. Both these guys are perfectly average. Maybe they could be SP2 on a regular slate, but this is just a bad slate. So you really got a dumpster dive for pitchers tonight. And Zach Thornton and Sproat have both shown some competencies, but honestly, both of these, as the Mets are getting healthier, it's not an offense I really want to pick on all too much.
No.
And obviously the Brewers, we know they're a good offense. You really don't want to target pitchers against them generally. So another just an avoid game for me. I do think both pitchers are better than average. So maybe I don't want to play bats here, but I don't feel good about either pitcher either. So it's just I know that's not hard hitting analysis here, but I just when you're getting middle fills and you just look at the stats and everything kind of screams not upside, right? It just screams it's just hey, this game could be 6-5 and it might not matter at all, right? Just maybe you want the top bats, but you're paying for Soto, you're paying for True, you're paying for those guys. So I just don't know if I want to do that in this slate. Another game where it's going to be an easy pass for me, and I think on a big game slate, you really just need to find the games you want to target and just put all your shekels there.
Agreed. Yeah, semi interest in Sproat, but I don't know if I'll get there. Let's go to Texas here. We're still in Globe Life. We have the White Sox still in town. No Schultz on the mound for the Sox, and Kumar Rocker on the mound for Texas. So Kumar Rocker's numbers, if you look at his StatCast, is actually decent. No Schultz is an absolute gas can right now. I think people believe in the prospect pedigree. He is getting absolutely cooked. Nothing in the profile screams a good pitcher.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, nothing in the profile is good right now. Nothing at all. He gets hit hard. He gives up fly balls. He gives up home runs. I love the righties here against No Schultz. I like Jake Berger a ton. I know we hit yard last night. I love White Langford. You even give me some of the lefties like Nemo, maybe Evan Carter. I'll throw Josh Young, another righty in there. But I really like this Texas lineup today. It is Globe Life, so not a true hitter's park, but No Schultz is not good. And then maybe he figures it out at some point in his career, but that is not today. Kumar Rocker is actually a decent, he's a mid pitcher, but on this slate at 6'4", I think he's one of the better mid pitchers we have. We mentioned this. The White Sox are a good offense right now. There's some guys that do strike out a lot, like Murakami, who is also a dangerous bat, but you have some strikeouts at the end of the month as well. So yeah, for me, it's Kumar Rocker and the Texas bats. I'm kind of leaning heavily that way. I like the Texas Rangers as a bet tonight as well. Do you have any interest in the Rangers bats, Dylan?
I love Langford against a lefty. I mean, the guy's mashing the ball lately. You can definitely play him as a one-off. I just don't really like the Rangers as much against lefties. And I know I like Schultz better than you do. I think he's got decent pedigree. He has decent stuff. Just hasn't played that way. And I know you've picked on to some avail lately. I just don't want to do that in this spot. This is another pitcher's park. You mentioned Kumar Rocker, and maybe that's interesting. I don't know if you saw Kyle Till. He hadn't been particularly good since he came back, but he just got carted off with injury. You probably won't see any more Kyle Till this season. So – yeah, the White Sox are a team I don't want to pick on generally, right? There's a bunch of power in that lineup, and Kumar Walker is a guy I was picking on early in his career. He seems to have found something, and there's some strikeouts in his profile. But once again, I think the White Sox are such a pesky team, a team kind of like the Marlins. I just don't want to pick pitchers against. Pick pitchers against them right now. So I just want to make sure that if he's the last man in the lineup, this is a night where I'm going to pick my bats, pick my stacks, and then go pitcher second. Maybe if Chase Burns is kind of the linchpin there, and find an SB2, kind of what fits in around what I've built. So if Kumar Rocker lands on my team, that's fine. I can't play Schultz. So as you mentioned, I like the guy. I think he's a decent prospect, but right now it's not working. We see prospects have a rude awakening to the MLB occasionally, and that's no different with Schultz. So it's going to be another game, surprise, folks, where I'm just passing mostly in DFS. But like I said, Kumar Rocker might make the build if as a last man in as SP2.
Yeah, I think Texas ends up being one of the top 4 or 5 scoring teams on the slate. I think I put them right behind the Braves. I
think that's contrarian. I don't hate it.
It's only the park holding him back, right? Like this spot is still fun. Like no Schultz has just been giving it up every start. And there's nothing looking good currently. But yeah, maybe at some point he figures it out. All right, let's go to Chicago. The weather is not blowing out today, so not the extravaganza that we saw. I guess it was not a crazy performance. I think it was 14 runs, so it's still a decent run total there in Detroit. Actually, you know what? Someone won $250,000 stack in Detroit yesterday, so take that back. It wasn't extravaganza. But today the wind's not. I think it's blowing across the field, so there's not that wind effect.
It's across to start the game and actually in the rest of the game. So there's some concern if you're gonna play bats here that it's not even net neutral today. It's going to be net negative. So I think there's some concern for bats in this game for me. Both pitchers are okay, right? David Peterson, we know who he is. Statcast is going to tell you he's not very good, but he's really around league average. And then Framber is, I'd say he's above average pitcher. The signing this offseason does not look good right now. He's starting to tick up here lately, but I'm not playing a pitcher against the Cubs, right? Wind blowing in, maybe, we know Framber's a contact pitcher, so maybe he can get lucky here and just work his way through the lineup. But the Cubs are such a pesky team, good up and down that lineup. I just want to take that risk on this slate. And he's more expensive than some of the other SP2s I like. So I don't want to play him, even with the wind blowing in and Peterson on the other side. But that being said, like I said, I'm just going to avoid bats, right? I'm looking for upside. We know Wrigley's really wind sensitive, and wherever the wind's blowing in, it's just going to hurt that upside. I mean, it doesn't mean guys can't hit home runs. We see wind blowing in 20 miles an hour occasionally, and the guys still rip home runs, right, if there's a line drive there. So it doesn't mean there's no home runs. It just absolutely hooks the upside of this game.
Yeah, I actually really like Framber. 7-8 is super affordable on this slate. He's probably the only guy in 7K range that has shown 30-point upside consistently in DFS, and I think he has that here. So again, the win factor being net negative also helps this case. He's a true ground ball pitcher, so he does have the upside to go 7-8 innings in this spot, 9 to 10 strikeouts. The strikeout stuff has ticked up a lot lately. We've kind of seen that with Sandy Alcantara as well, but I love Framber here. I think 7-8 is too cheap.
It's up and down, right? We see Framber. We have a 10 strikeout performance his last time out, then 1, then 2, then 8. It's just like if you get the 9 or 8, you're in love. But if you get the 2 or the 1, you're drawing.
You're in trouble. Yeah, you're in trouble.
Oh. There's some risk there, but like I said, SP2 is we're looking at the bottom, we're looking at the dregs of pitching today. So I think Framber, as far as talent goes, he maybe is a top 4 talent on the slate. So there's no qualms with that. It's just I don't like to pick on the Cubs. Yeah,
I understand that. As the price is it's tantalizing for sure. Cool. Nothing else to add. I'm not really interested in bats here. Let's go to Miami, or let's go to Houston. Sorry, we have them still in. Miami's still visiting Houston. We have Tatsuya Mai on the mound for Houston and Tyler Phillips for Miami. I could go right back to Houston here. I know you were on 1 yard twice last night. You mentioned this earlier, or you mentioned this yesterday. They do allow a lot of base runners and them to steal quite a bit. And for Ramirez plays, you definitely want to play base runners against them because he's not a good defensive catcher. I think Liam Hicks is still in there playing catch, but Tattoo Amai he has like the weirdest profile. Like he'll go out and put up 40 points, not 40 points, but like he's got like double-digit strikeout performances, and then like he can't find his pitchers. That to me, that's like that is a risk reward type pitcher. At 6'8", I think he's pretty interesting against Miami. Miami doesn't strike out a ton, but like it's really not up to like the Miami offense as much as it is up to Tattoo Amai. If he has his stuff, he's gonna do well. With that said, I think my interest kind of lies just fully on the Houston side. Like I will go back to some of those cheap Houston bouts. And then I will also play some of my if he kind of can fit the bill today. But I think Houston all the way for me would be a bet as well. But I think there's still some value in the Houston offense.
Yeah, I think, just looking at the slate overall, I think Houston provides so much value again. I mean, Cam Smith, we mentioned he didn't start last night. He kind of was slumping, and then he gets in and steals a base. And at 2.8 and Spence again at 2.2, it's just like there's so much value there in the outfield if you're trying to fit in some of the Coors games, some of these bigger games. So just like it makes a lot of sense to play these guys. And you probably see me go back there in the 250 or the single entry tonight. There's a lot of value there. And just looking at the slate overall, I'm not playing MI. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I'm not gonna play Tatsu MI, mostly because of Miami's profile. They just do not strike out. And Tatsu MI is gonna get worked. And what I mean by that, maybe not give up a lot of runs per se, but like Miami, all those bats are pretty pesky. They have low strikeout rates. They're going to make him work. And Tatsu Amai has a walk problem, right? So if he's getting hit and giving up walks, it's just going to be a short night for him. So I don't feel like the risk is worth the reward in this spot, particularly because it's just an offense where they're not going to strike out generally. So it's his best stuff. But Miami's a team I've been actively avoiding for pitchers lately. Even the best strikeout pitchers, they're going to put the ball in play pretty consistently. So, Houston's a side, though. Phillips isn't very good. As I mentioned, there's value there. Obviously, Jordan's the one premier bat you want to spend on, but I might not go there and just look for some value for Houston. Once again, Cam Smith, Jordan Spence, guys in the back end that can potentially get some stolen bases. And last night there was only one stolen base, and it was Cam Smith who came in late. And I think Houston's not running as much, but man, this is a perfect opportunity for these guys to get on and just run wild. So I'm going to play most of their speed guys. And the two guys I'm really eyes focused on is just Cam Smith, Jordan Spence in that lineup.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the other guys I would play would be like Yander Diaz. He's a power righty playing catcher. And then as well as I'm going to mention it again, but Isaac Brady's at home. This is kind of where you play him. He's a cheap third base power bat, not power bat, but like his power profile as well in this park with his Crawford boxes. So nothing else to add. Let's get to the magnum opus of the slate. We have Washington again, still in Colorado. We have Lorenzo on the mound for Colorado. And then there's like a split opener bulk reliever with Palmquist and Mikolas for Washington. Mikolas has been super hittable, but he's actually has some interesting starts. And I don't love when teams do like opener closer. I don't love playing offenses against that because you kind of get two different pitcher profiles. So for me, I think it's going to be and it's like lefty righty splits too. So I think the Washington side is just firmly in play. The wind is slightly blowing out. The hitting weather couldn't be better in Colorado tonight. So the Washington will be by far the highest owned team, and it won't be particularly close in the slate, but I think they are still like a priority. I think you play them. I think there's batters could be in the 20 to 30% range. It's one less game than yesterday, but like there's less offensive spots. I think this game is this offense is going to be clearly above everyone else in ownership. I think their projections are great too. So I think just don't avoid it. I am leaning towards playing Washington, but like you have to understand that your secondary stacks have to be a little different if you want to kind of solo win this slate, because I think Washington's going to be highly owned. With that said, it's the best spot in the slate. It's a Coors game. Don't avoid it unless you're building like large field tournaments. So.
Yeah, I just want to, I know you hammered the Washington side, but there's a good chance if you pull my single entry up at the end of the night, I'm going to have 6 or 7 bats in this game. I think I'm going to get value pieces elsewhere, but that is going to include some of the Colorado side. And just looking at some of my favorite bats, I know you mentioned this guy, but Karros at third base is a guy that I know you liked a lot, but a lot of batter profiles. He's looking like one of the better bats in the league, just from some underlying stats, looks really good. He's sub 4K. I think he's 3.9. And Edward Julian, his StatCast looks pretty good. Definitely going to be in here against the righty. I know we got Palmquist as the opener lefty, so hopefully they just go ahead and put Julian in there and just let him run with it. He's sub 4K too. So there's a couple of value bats I do like from Colorado. Obviously, you have Goodman there at the top. You have McCarthy there at the top. They're going to be your primary stack pieces if you want them, but they're 6K. Goodman, especially at catcher, is going to be tough to get to. So definitely want to stack this team up and down. If you asked me to pick my favorite bats from Colorado side, it's going to be Julian and Karros for savings. And then I love Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz's bat looks great. He's going to steal bases. Obviously, you're going to get Luis Garcia in here against the righty. So just a lot of upside on the Washington side. And that's not telling anyone anything they don't know, right? This over-under is what, near 13 runs, so it's a spot you're gonna want to get bats. But yeah, you're gonna see me stack both sides of this game.
Yeah, I like that. And Dylan, is it Dylan Lyle? I don't know how it's like. Is it Dylan Lyle? It's like whatever. Dylan Cruz, Dylan Lyle, whatever it is. Both those guys are profile pretty well, but like them both here. James Wood, obviously, CJ Abrams. Don't forget about him. Play all the bats from the Washington side. They're firmly in play. Best team total in the slate. Best spot in the slate by far. Let's go to the Angels game. So we have Walbert Urena pitching for the Angels versus Liberatore for the Cards. This is another battle of mid pitchers. Walbert Urena is a good real life pitcher, not a good DFS pitcher, just doesn't strike enough guys out. He's 8'6", too expensive to play, in my opinion, on this slate. But I think he's a good enough real life pitcher to negate anything from the St. Louis offense. And Liberatore is actually decent stuff in the profile as well against the Angels, but the Angels are getting a little healthier. Not my favorite spot to go to for pitchers. He's 6'7", so I guess he's somewhat interesting, but there's like
interesting. He's definitely interesting because he's shown upside, and we thought Liberatore going into the spring was going to have a much better year. The strikeouts are there. There's a couple of things concerning. He's been walking too many guys, and the Angels are far better against lefties than righties, right? You got all these righties at the top. They can absolutely hit lefties, and Liberatore's going to have a hard problem with like Trout, Neto, Adele, guys that Soler, right? So there's a problem if you're playing him. Like, understand salary savings in the slate are going to be needed. So SP2 makes a little bit of sense. Just understand the risk there, right? It's not your typical player pitcher against the Angels. Like, I understand Liberatore has upside, but there's definitely some downside here where we can see him get hit by these righties. So yeah, and it's mostly an avoid game, right? Walbert Urena is good, real life pitcher, but the Cardinals are amazing, right? And their strikeout rates are not high there. So Walbert already not striking guys out, and going against the Cards, I don't really like that whatsoever. But I could see SP2 Liberatore coming through tonight if you have the money to get to him. Yeah,
don't hit it. He's cheap too, so there's some potential value there. Let's go to another game. This game is, I think, really good offensive environment tonight, but we have the Athletics still in Arizona. We have Perkins on the mound for the Athletics, and then Drake for Arizona. Drake is clearly the absolute worst pitch on the slate, and it's not particularly close. They're just throwing him in there because everyone else is hurt in the rotation, and they've kind of given up at pulling anyone else in. He's been a absolute gas can in AAA too. So like I think he's like a 70 RA in AAA. Every start's been horrible. So it's like he's not a good pitcher, but they said they're just having to throw him in because they need an arm. This is a spot I felt that Athletics are like a top 3 offense tonight for sure. The issue, obviously, you don't have Kurtz, which is potentially an issue because it loses some protection in the lineup. But I want to see who the Athletics roll out tonight. I love this team on the road in Arizona against an absolutely horrible pitcher in Drake. And I don't know how many people will get there, right? Obviously, we have the Coors game, but I think the Athletics should easily be the highest scoring team that we see tonight. And I think they'll be quite a bit lower owned than anyone from the Coors game.
Don't make me play law dog. Don't make me do it. Make me do it.
I mean, Drake's just so bad. It's like I don't want to ignore that.
Let me caveat a couple of things with Drake, though. He is a decent prospect in that organization, and he is also pitching the PCL, which we're going to see inflation there as far as like ERA and things of that nature. So for sure, he's not very good. I mean, he's going to hit in AAA. What is he going to do when he comes up and faces a major league team? Probably not as good, right? No. But the caveat being that he is a decent prospect. The stuff is okay, actually. If you're looking at Fangraphs, it's okay. So he's not a pure gas can, as I think you think he is. Maybe he is, right? We see better prospects get shelled, right? Schultz is a much better prospect. He's not holding water in the majors right now. So totally understand the stack here. It's just like this team is not healthy. I do want to play some of the value bats here, as you mentioned. Tommy White's up as well. So there's definitely some interest here. I just don't know if I'm going to get here. I think Drake is actually a little bit better than you do, but I totally get the spot. Perkins on the other side, a guy I thought would be better too. His ERA is north of 6. So it's a game you could definitely get bats from. Is it going to be a priority for me? I don't know. TBD. Once again, I'm building around that Coors game. And if I get value pieces from this game, I wouldn't be shocked. But no pitchers. You can't touch the pitchers in this game.
Yeah, I think Cole Drake is a guy that eventually we won't see him in the majors for long. Like he was barely drafted. He was like 11th round, and like the profile is not. I mean, to your point, like that league is conducive to like inflated ERAs, but I love the A's here. I think depending on who the lineup is.
He pitched for. You're gonna think this is great. So we went to Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
What?
Pitched for Coastal Carolina.
No, he pitched for the Down East Wood Ducks and old
Oh,
Kinston.
Kinston, yeah.
Yeah, in 2024. So it's kind of cool, right? I think that's what's his. First of all, that's a single A, and he was a 7.46 ERA there. So maybe he's just not any good.
Well, this is how bad he is. They called him up as an emergency
scenario, right?
Yeah.
Here last year AAA. Yeah, I'm just going through his numbers real quick. Last year AAA, full season, only had 3 starts. Looks like 9 ERA, not good. Pitching in the PCL this year, he's pitched 66 innings, 6.92 ERA, just not good. I mean, his whip's not good. There's a lot to be concerned about here. The biggest thing I'll say is we see this sometimes when the guys are average prospects. We'll call him an average prospect, maybe below average, really. But when they come up and there's not a lot of film on him, he can work his way through. But needless to say, he's not going to have a long leash here. So if they get to him early, it's going to be a lot of trouble for him. So I totally understand the stack here. It's just for me, I'm not going to make it a primary just because of the injuries there for the Athletics, but totally see them as having filler pieces.
Yeah. I think that you can throw some cheap guys in from that lineup. I mean, this is how bad he is, though. They called him up as an emergency starter, and they ended up not using him. They were just like, oh, we'll just go a bullpen game. Then sent him right back down. So that the organization also just doesn't believe in him enough, right? He wouldn't be playing at this level if everyone wasn't hurt or wasn't on the IL. So yeah, I really, really do like the Athletics here. They'll be a primary stack for me. Let's get to the last game of the slate. We're in a pitcher's park now in Seattle. We have Chase Burns on the mound versus Luis Castillo. I honestly think both pitchers in play. Castillo's looked a little bit better recently. I don't love the profile currently, like the old Castillo. This is an absolute smash spot, but you have seen some decent performances here recently. Enough, and I think there's enough of a floor here in Seattle that he can get you 15, maybe 20 points. He's 7'6". I think I may prefer some guys right around him a little bit more. And then Chase Burns, this is the conversation. 11.5 is just frankly too expensive. 10.5 is too expensive. It's I
couldn't disagree more, though. I mean, I don't think it's unlikely to get you 30 points here. And what I'd love to see from Chase Burns is, yes, his last start wasn't good, but before that, we're looking at pretty consistent performances. He easily has the highest floor in the slate. He could go 100 plus pitches. And what I'd love to see is just, we look at a K rate, very good K rate, but his whiff and his let me just pause it. Yeah, his whiff and his chase rate are both higher than that. So it's likely that he also sees a little uptick here, and it's a great pitcher's park. We know Seattle can strike out. And I just as far as safety goes, we're looking at not losing at pitcher. I think Chase Burns could safely get you 20 in this spot as long as your stacks come through. You're going to be fine. With the upside, he has easily the highest, floor ceiling upside on the slate. And, you're paying for it for sure. There's no doubt about it.
I think he's somewhat contrarian too, because 11.5 is just again, this is not the 11.5 Chase Burns that we saw. I'll
give you a water bet just based on the.
No, I like Chase Burns. I think the price is just, again, I think DraftKings did a great job. They priced him up more than he should be.
We're talking about ownership. We're talking about ownership, and because there's only one clear option, we can see Chase Burns, especially in the contest I'm playing, the 250 to 121, be north of 40% owned.
Yeah. See, that's the conundrum for me. I feel like he should be lower owned because of how expensive he is. And the ceiling, the strikeout rate hasn't been great. If we isolate the last 3 starts, it's just not great. It is in Seattle, right? That's a boost to him. Seattle's offense hasn't been good either. So another benefit to him, but because it's they did an interesting thing. They priced him $1,000 more than he should be priced. And so so it's the battle of two things. It's who's going to win? Is it going to be the expensive Coors bats that are owned more, or is it going to be the Chase Burns? Right? It's because I think you can kind of if Chase Burns is that high owned, then it's going to be very clear where people go. They're going to clearly go to the value bats.
We look at success though, right? Who's more likely to have success just on the average? Is it Chase Burns or is it James Wood? It's going to be Chase Burns, right? Chase Burns has that likely higher floor, higher ceiling combo, which is, it's hard to compare batters and pitchers, but you can still stack the game, avoid James Wood, and just get Chase Burns, right? And I just don't think, we slightly disagree here. I just think he presents so much upside, and it's Chase Burns. Everyone knows, you look at his surface level numbers, they're amazing, right? But his underlines are good. He can get hit hard occasionally, but if he's cruising, it's going to be a problem. He could strike out, 10 in this lineup, and you're going to have him at that point, just because there's not a lot of good pitcher options. So it's going to be fun. I think we're going to go head to head. I think you're going to fade him, and I'm going to play him. So we're going to see what happens.
I'm torn. I don't know. I haven't decided whether I'm going to fade him or play him, because to your point, there's not many pitchers that have a higher floor. But I do think, again, this is, to me, is objectively true. He's too expensive for the real life production. Again, it's in Seattle against the Seattle offense that's not doing is not performing well offensively. So those things are in his favor.
Dude,
But if the ownership's inflated, like I like it even less.
Nobody's affected. He is two things guaranteed tonight. He's already too expensive. That's a guarantee. And then he's going to be far more owned than I think you're assuming. I think he could. Would it be surprising in my 250 that he's 50% owned? I don't think it'd be surprising one bit, just because there's not a lot of quality options under there. So
yeah.
So that's the biggest thing you're going to see tonight. And
the issue, to your point, is definitely that it's agreed. The biggest issue is there's just no one else to play. Not like his ownership will be based off of like the lack of options we have. I'm just looking. I'm going to pull up I'm just curious what his strikeout number is tonight. What do you think it is?
It's probably, they always safely line these strikeout numbers. It's probably going to be, I'm going to guess 6.5 to minus. There's going to be minus 125, 6.5 potentially. Yeah. Tell me how spot on it, man.
Over 6.5 minus 150. So not bad. Minus 150.
Yeah, so just like there's juice on the over there. So so I'm right around that, and that makes sense on the slate. Seattle does strike out.
Yeah. Cool, man. Anything else you want to add, sir? I know massive.
I didn't talk much about Luis Castillo. He's not a guy I'm going to play. I know he's been better lately. I generally don't believe in him. I don't think he's any good right now at this stage in his career. The Reds, we do know they strike out occasionally. We saw that the other day when Zach Wheeler shoved against them. But that's Zach Wheeler, right? This is Luis Castillo. And occasionally he'll have those spike performances. I just don't believe in the spot. And maybe I actually, if I had a little bit more cojones, I'd actually probably play the Reds in the spot against them as kind of a low-owned late night hammer. Play Burns, play the Reds, 3-5 man, and just see print at the end of the night. That'd be fun. But I don't know how the cojones do that in a big single. So it's definitely on the board for me because I could see Luis Castillo getting had here. And the Reds, they have a fun team profile, right? South Stewart, Ellie, those guys. So probably won't get there. But Burns is going to be a guy that I probably don't leave off of any team, even in tournaments. Yeah,
interesting. I don't know. I'm still torn in that. I'll have to wait to see some lineups here and see kind of where I want to go.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, you talked about who I mentioned, guys like Houston, Jordan Spence, 2-2, and Cam Smith 2-8. Like the reason I'm playing those guys is simply because I'm probably playing Chase Burns. Like you don't need those guys if you're kind of playing the middle range, and the middle range is so bad tonight that I just don't think it's even worth it. So it's just going to be Chase Burns, and hopefully one of Lewender Kumar does something decent at SP2, maybe a Libertor there, but. There's risk with those guys for sure. I mean, I could have Chase Burns put up 25 and Lewender put up 5, and it's just not good enough. So you're going to win by bats tonight. That's just the fact of the matter. The pitchers will not win you the slate tonight. So Chase Burns is not sneaking by anyone at 11.5. He's going to be the highest owned at the highest price. And other than that, you're just really it's a wing and a prayer. So that's all I have tonight, man. I appreciate you carving this out because I know we've had a busy work day. So let's jump back on. We'll jump back on tomorrow, talk a little baseball, talk a little bit about golf, depending on the slate. Like we'll jump back on and talk these split slates occasionally, and we'll play both split slates. But sometimes if it starts too early, there's no shelf life for it, right? So good luck. You're gonna see me with Houston again tonight. That's kind of the sneaky primary for me. But start the Coors game. Try to get a little contrarian. I think tonight is an interesting slate where. With Chase Burns, you're going to have to play some value bats from the Coors game. So people are going to funnel there. So maybe get your value bats from other games and then play the higher end Coors as you'd mentioned. So that's maybe what I'm going to try to do just to get a little bit different because Chase Burns is going to funnel everyone to similar builds. So hopefully we can get a little contrarian and take down some big contests tonight. So good luck to you, sir.
My A side is the Athletics. I think they're a team that I don't know if people will go to, but I think they're just clearly facing the worst pitcher available. So
I love that.
Cool. Thanks, Dylan. I'll see you later, sir. Good luck to you, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, folks. We'll be back doing some baseball later this week.
Bye. Good luck.
All right.